Hi, hello. We're hoping that you find this panel discussion very helpful and insightful. And just to have a very smooth discussion, I will ask you to obviously mute yourselves. And after the discussion, we will have a question, like a little Q&A session if you do want to ask your questions. So if you have a burning question, then maybe write it down. And then once we finish the discussion, then we will get to it. And we have 4 topics. So I reckon we might as well start with introducing yourselves. Deyana, do you want to start us off?
Of course. Hello, everyone. My name is Deyana. Originally, I come from Bulgaria, but when I was 18 years old, I moved to the UK for my studies. So I did my undergraduate studies at the University of Manchester, where I studied biomedical sciences. And after doing my undergrad degree, I then moved on to Cambridge, where I did my PhD, and my PhD was in immunology. For the past 4 years, I've been doing research on the immune response to virus infections, which involved a lot of experimental lab work. I actually recently finished my PhD, which was in December last year. And since then, after having an extensive academic background, I actually decided to make a transition. So I recently joined a biotechnology startup company, which is working on developing diagnostic tests. And my role there is as a product marketing manager, where I'm combining my scientific expertise with more commercial knowledge. And yeah, I think that's in short about myself. Nice to meet everyone.
Perfect, thank you. Luis, do you want to be next?
Sure. Hey, everyone. So my name is Luis Blanco. I'm from Spain. I'm from Madrid, more particularly. I studied business science, and after I finished my my degree, I opened a company exporting and importing products from Spain to the rest of Europe. And at some point, I decided that I wanted to work on something that I was passionate about. So I moved to Hamburg in Germany, and I spent there 3 years working for my first video game company. The experience was amazing. I learned a lot of, I could perfect my German and my English. And then I received an offer for the company that I'm working now for, but to Newcastle. So I was living in the north of England for another 2 years. Then they offered me transition to Barcelona, which is where I'm working now in UIS of Barcelona. Last year, I studied a master's degree in corporate communications. That helped a lot in my career. Yeah, that's a very basic summary of my work life, and I'm glad to be here and nice to meet you all.
Perfect, thank you. Georgia?
Cool, thanks. Thanks, Neda. Nice to meet you, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me here today. My name is Georgia. I originally come from Greece, and I live in the Netherlands since 2015. Sounds like many years now. My studies were originally on linguistics. These studies, I did them in Greece, in my home city. And then I moved to Paris for a while, did an Erasmus at Paris Sorbonne. And after that, I wanted more international experience. So I decided to move to the Netherlands, a small city called Tilburg, to pursue my master's in business communication and digital media. This has always been my passion to work in corporate communications. And after the end of my master's, I started working in Unilever, where I still work. I've changed internally quite a lot, many different positions, and now I am public relations manager for the T division. So very pleased to be here today and looking forward to the insightful conversation.
Nice, amazing. And last but not least, Fery.
Hi, everyone. Good to see everyone here. Lots of people, right? It's amazing. So I'm Fery. I live in the UK. I own a 40 people agency, digital marketing agency, mostly PR, public relations, and more specifically PR link building agency. I come from Transylvania. I've got dual nationality, Hungarian and Romanian, and I moved to the UK about 10 years ago. I was the fish who wanted a bigger pond. I had this business mindset, and I wanted to have a better place to, explore the opportunities. And I think the UK has served quite well for this purpose. And yeah, we have built this agency. I've got the company since 2014, but from 2020, when we had 2 employees, to now we scaled up to 40 employees in like 2 years. In the past 12 months, we just hit 1.5 million in revenue, which is great considering like in 2020 we had like 120,000 pounds in revenue, something like that. So we're hyper scaling, crazy chaotic environment, and this is what I do. My education, unfortunately, is not as glorious as I would want it to be. I come from a very poor background. When I was a child, teenager, my family was really poor. We didn't have things to eat, so unfortunately we couldn't go to university, even though I would have loved to. And maybe I always joke I would be Elon Musk's partner now, probably, if I went to university, but maybe in another life. So that's who I am.
Perfect, thank you. So I'm guessing you're missing out on that university experience. Can our other 3 panelists maybe speak about what their university experience was like? And whether they regret it, whether they think it was amazing, what would they change? If anybody has a burning desire, then just...
I can start, that's no problem.
Oh, go for it, Georgia, sorry.
Perfect.
Lovely, okay, I just thought I would volunteer. Talking about myself a little bit, as I said, my background, my bachelor's was on linguistics, and now I'm working on PR. So I usually get the question how these 2 kind of relate with each other, and especially back in Greece, when I'm discussing this with friends and other professionals, are like, oh, you did a huge career switch, and how come you made that switch and all of that. So I wanted to use this opportunity to say to anybody who's interested to pursue studies on linguistics or on corporate communications that the 2 actually have a very strong correlation with each other. Linguistics is in fact the scientific study of the human language. So it is an analysis of all aspects of the language in a comprehensive, systematic way, and particularly an analysis of its nature and its structure. So there are different courses that relate to that, which university took us through, such as syntax, phonetics, historical linguistics, neurolinguistics. I could take it for a whole list, but I want to focus particularly on social linguistics and the connection between that and what I am doing today. So social linguistics is looking at the sociological aspects of language. So how different social factors, such as, for instance, ethnicity, age, occupation, education, or even where somebody lives, so the geographical location, affect the language and affect how that person uses the language and how this shapes in a way his or her role in society. So this part of my studies was particularly helpful and something that I enjoyed a lot back then, but also I enjoy very much using the takeaways of that in my job today. And in essence, that means that it has helped me understand a little bit more than I would have probably done with a different background, the audiences to which we are addressing communications. So it helps me create content and communication that appeals to particular audiences, understand the differences between them, and also make sure that these communications have the right tone of voice, the right style, depending on who we are talking to and what is actually the occasion, whether it is internal comms, external comms, high-profile event, or something, you know, talking to young consumers and so on. So this is how my studies relate to my current profession, and of course later on I specialized with my master's on corporate communications, and this is where I started to deep dive and specialize more on things like social media, non-verbal communication, digital storytelling. So you can start with a foundation, a solid one, and then you can build on that and expand your expertise. That's the point of this.
Perfect. Sorry, I'm seeing Deyana and Luis, you're kind of nodding your heads. Do you want to add a little bit to that?
Go ahead, Deyana.
Thank you. Yeah, sure. Maybe I can talk from my experience as well, and from my studies. So dating from my undergrad degree in Manchester, where I was doing biomedical sciences, I think that helped me quite a lot later on as I progressed as well into extending my studies into doctoral work and doing a PhD, which was also related to biomedical sciences, more specifically in immunology. So during my undergrad studies, I did placement year, which was in Italy actually. So it was a placement year abroad where I did research work on bone cancer. That was for a year, working in a university lab there. And I think that was the experience and the kind of like the eye-opening moment when I realized I really like research and I really like this experimentation and testing different hypotheses and really getting into the gritty, into the details of research and a specific niche. And I think that was kind of like that experience really showed me what it would be like to be working in academia and doing academic research. So this basically was when I decided that I wanted to continue in that path and continue with doing research and go for a PhD. And so for after that, basically in Cambridge, I've been doing for 4 years work on the immune system and looking at virus infections, quite topical for nowadays. And that really was, I would say, it was a great experience. But I think at some point I just decided that I didn't want to go further down the academic path. And a way that I actually realized that was by doing extracurricular things outside of my PhD studies. So getting involved in other projects and societies. And one project that actually was quite decisive point for me was a business course, which was a 3-month actually business course that was teaching academics more about entrepreneurship and how you can combine science with business and getting more into the biotechnology startup world specifically. And I was quite fascinated by that, and I really enjoyed the projects, working in a teamwork and coming up with different ideas how you can actually commercialize research. And on top of that, there was you need a lot of science communication skills to be able to communicate science to lay audiences for people that don't have background knowledge, which is something that I've really enjoyed doing in different sort of festivals or campaigns throughout my PhD. And I think this is how I started to narrow down what I want to do after my PhD and why I wanted to make that transition, is specifically in product marketing management. in a biotech company, because it kind of encompassed all these different skills. And I think this is just an example of how you don't, even if you start doing a degree in university, it doesn't have to be a linear trajectory where you follow one already standardized path, but you can make your own career path by testing out different things. And I think especially for me, it was quite important to get out of the comfort zone, try different things and see what I like.
Sounds amazing. Luis?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what Georgia and Diana said. My case was not so specific as Diana's. For example, when you study business science, you look, for example, in my case, when I was 18, well, 17 to 18, when you finish school and you go to university, I was a bit like, I don't really know what I want to do. So I will do business science, and you know, I will figure out later. I will try to specialize, and that's kind of what happened. I finished my studies, and before finishing it, I was already setting up my company with my brother, which is still working till now. It goes very well. It's a company that it took a lot of work to do, but then at some point I figured out that that was not what I wanted to do. Obviously, I wanted to do my own boss. I wanted to, you know, all this cool stuff and like make a lot of money, but then I realized that I wanted to do something that I really like. So that's why I took the decision of pursuing a career in video games, combining it with the knowledge that I have and the studies that I've made. So if I will finish my career now, I will take like my studies. I mean, I will take maybe 1 year or even more, whatever, to like perfect my skills, maybe languages, whatever you want to work on, and then figure out which path I want to go, rather than going like straight line from what you're studying. That's what happened to me, and I don't think I ever made a better decision than moving to Hamburg and starting working in a video game company, because that's just it's just a career changer for me. It changed the mood from making a lot of money to doing what I really want to do and what I'm happy with. So yeah, I believe that my university studies helped a lot to build the foundation, as Georgia said, and then from then move into the direction that I wanted to once I finished.
All right, so basically what we've seen from everybody is that there's a lot of changes that you've done throughout your academic careers and professional careers. And I guess the next question is, at what point did you decide that you wanted to make a switch? How did you actually manage to do that transition? Because obviously we have also a lot of students that, for example, they start with something or they have an idea of what they want to do. For example, Luis, you started with one idea, but then you decided to go along the route of what makes you happier. So what helped you transition within that?
Yeah, no, just to answer very briefly, I just realized that not everything was about money as I thought at the beginning. You know, but like when you grow up, they teach you that you have to be as successful as you can to make as much money as you can. But then I realized that maybe when I'm 40 or 50, I will not be happy doing what I've been doing that whole life, which is for me not fulfilling at all. So it was a change of mindset, and I decided to just work in one of my passions.
Perfect. So,
Georgia? Yes, just one point. I would agree with Luis. I don't think there is a right or wrong recipe. For me, it also works like that. You should follow your heart in the first place. And also because you asked us at the beginning in preparation for this call to think about tips for interviews and stuff like that. The only thing that I wanted to address under that question, and which I even noted down, is that I am against the fake it till you make it kind of thing. I don't think this is the right way. I think you should only go for your passions. You should only apply for the jobs that you like. And you should design the path the way you like it, because in the end, it's your life. There is no recipe that you should follow. What has worked for one person cannot work for all the others, and the other way around. So I think one tip that I would like to give for anybody listening is experiment. Try to follow your passions, try to go after them, and design your own path without thinking, oh, I finished university now, so next thing is a job, so next thing is a promotion. It doesn't always work like that. And there is a very nice poem which some of you might know, which is called Ithaka, by Greek poem. Konstantinos Kavafis is his name, which talks about the final destination. You can look it up, or I can give you the link. And he wants to say with that it's not about the final destination, it's about the journey. You should design a journey that works for you, one that gives you lots of experiences, lots of discovery. And then when you reach the destination, you will understand that it was not about that. It wasn't about it, it was about the journey. So invest in that journey and do the most to make it a nice one.
And if I can just add here as well, I completely agree with what the other speakers have said. And just to emphasize again, something that I said earlier, what helped me with the transition was mostly trying out different things and exploring as much as I can. So getting out of my comfort zone and trying to get involved in various projects or societies or many different things, so that you can actually have an idea of what are the opportunities out there. And you never know, you might realize, oh, this is actually something that really fits me and I really enjoy it. And that's how you actually realize, well, maybe this is what I want to pursue in the future. And in my situation, I knew that I didn't have the exact expertise into the role I was getting into, so it was already kind of a risk. So sometimes the first position, it doesn't have to be like the perfect match, the perfect position. Sometimes you need to find a position that you would, I guess it would be a learning experience for you to then progress further and find the best match for you and the career path that you want to pursue.
Right, and obviously that both of you brought us into a very good point of, for example, when you're trying to find a new job and the interview moment comes and you're part of the recruitment process. I mean, some of you have started companies, of course, all of you have gone through a sort of recruitment process at some point in your life. Can you just tell our audience what you've learned from those experiences that would be able to help them? Like, what are some mistakes that, for example, maybe you saw that you did during the recruitment process, or some of the things that you know you did well, even as a hiring manager, that you think is valuable insight?
Should I start? So recruitment, and specifically, landing a job, is one of my big passions, and I wish I was a starter now, because I know I would just smash it, because I know exactly, from employing like 40 people now, but also throughout, my career, I've employed probably over 100 people in total. I know what stands out, so I would always look to stand out. And most of the employers are looking for something different. They are looking for somebody that's enthusiastic, like energy, enthusiasm, and a passion for what you want, for where you want to apply, or even a passion for the company will make you greatly stand out. And I always say to everyone, like, when they are looking for a job, don't just send, download the template from online, just place, your details there and like a CV template and send it away. That's the masses. That's what everyone is doing. Why not? If you really want to work at a company, buy a shoe, a pair of shoes, paint it in the company's branded colors, and send it away to the company in a mail and say, hello there, here's my CV in this box. I've got my shoes in here with of course, with the logo and everything, even if you hand paint it, and say, I just sent this so I can get my foot in the door, right? So you can be creative, and if you do that, then immediately you will definitely stand out, and then you don't just give up there. Just call them and send them an email, and then I think showing that you're enthusiastic about the role will definitely get you in the top 5% of people who will probably get the job. Just be creative and don't just send the CVs. Don't just accept a no whenever they say, oh, we are sorry, we don't want you. Don't just, if you call them and say, oh, can you let me know why you don't want me? I really want to work at this company and I'm really keen to, if you really show, you don't give up and you keep on going, then you exponentially increase your chances of, landing a job.
That's great advice. Thank you. Might be trying that out sometime.
The shoe is always going to work. The shoe thing is big time.
Great. Well, does anybody else also have some tips or tricks, some of their own experience as well?
I could probably go, but I see a hand raised up by Annie.
Annie, would you want to ask the question now, or do you want to wait until the question and answer session?
Hey, actually, I want to share my story with you.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Annie. So I want to just share my little story with you. Sorry, you just see me good. So when I was a teenager, when I was at the high school, I want to be an artist, but my mom hadn't have money to pay my studies to be an artist. So I did public studies. Now I'm a quality technician in industry manufacturing airplanes. But I still painting at home, even I didn't have studies. So right now I'm in Morocco, but I feel that there is a little girl inside me who wants to discover the world. So I tell in my story with you, if someone between you have an idea for me, have something to help me to quit here, to move in from Morocco to another country, I want to know a lot about another culture. I want to see a lot of countries, and I want to show you a little from my painting. So this is my lovely one.
That's great.
Thank you so much. Thank you for hearing my stories, and let me know if you have some idea for me. I will write my email and message.
Perfect, Annie. Thank you. Well, we will for sure get also back to you when we answer more questions. And I see that there's also another question about how to land a business-related job, which we will 100% get back to, don't worry. But Georgia, maybe you said you wanted to also share a little bit about your experience. So
yeah, so just to build on Fery's story, mine or tip, mine is not so interesting or fascinating as Fery's, but I just wanted to share that when you land at the interview, just be prepared. Don't just go through your experience, your education, your previous work positions. Offer something unique to this company you're speaking to if you really want to get the job and if you really want to join their team. Show them, for instance, what are the changes that you would bring, how you would improve what you're already doing, and how you are a unique addition to their team. So get to know them better, who they are as people, get to know, the characters as much as this is possible over a short interview, and also let them know who you really are as a person, who you are after 5 p.m., so that they get to understand more about you and they get to see if there is that chemistry and if they really want you as an addition to their team from a business perspective, but also from a personality perspective, because that's also very important.
perfect, thank you. Deyana or Luis, do you have anything to add or?
So I resonate with what Georgia and Fery said, and in my personal experience, also with my last interview, I could see that attitude and passion were like really something that can make you stand out, and why you can be considered as a great addition to the team. And I think even if you don't have the most relevant skills, or you still don't have like even some the needed expertise for a role that you're applying to, even if you can come up with creative ways how you can use those skills, or as people call them now, transferable skills, in a lot of projects, or basically the things, or during your education, you acquire a lot of skills, and you can use those transferable skills for your application, and come up with creative ways how you can use those in the relevant position. But I think most importantly, attitude and passion. If you show these, then any skill you can learn on the job, and that's basically the best way to learn it. But if you actually show that you care, and you really want to be part of the team and what the company is doing, for example, then this is how you would stand out.
Perfect, thank you. Luis, anything to add, or do you?
No, just wholeheartedly agree with everything that the other panelists said. Just passion is basically everything, even if you cannot get to impress every company that you want to apply to, as in Fery's example, there's still like countless ways of showing passion and that you really care about that job, and it's not just one more CV that you want to throw out there. But yeah, everything what they say, I totally agree.
Perfect. And just because you all work in so many different places in various positions, can you tell us a little bit about what is your favorite thing about what you do, and then maybe your least favorite, maybe something that the industry is lacking, for example, that you see a gap, or you see where there could be an improvement, so that our listeners can maybe understand a little bit more about the position, for example, especially if they want to work within those industries or have these type of positions.
Should I start again, like from the left?
Yeah, go for it.
So the most interesting part of what I do is it's a booming industry. So digital marketing, SEO, quality content writing, public relations, software development, all of these are industries that are exploding, and they are not going to slow down. So that's the most exciting part, is like unlimited demand. And if you manage to become skilled or even just enthusiastic about one of these disciplines, people will hunt you. You will be hunted. People will, like, the CIA will be after you to hide your way and to grab you. So that's how, that's the greatest part of this industry. And if people, let's say, are uncertain of what their next move should be, in that case, I would say this is a booming industry, and definitely explore digital marketing. On the flip side, it's a double-edged sword. Once you're in, it's a very chaotic, very high pace, like very, demanding work. You really need to keep consistency. So get ready, for, especially at the beginning, until you get really skilled at it. And get ready for, not just rainbow and sunshine, because it's going to be hard, to start to gain some traction. Once you gain traction, it's going to be easy, but initially, it's going to be hard. But that's kind of that's what I see. That's what I see. There's a big gap in the market for quality marketers, people who are, just want to learn marketing, just want to improve themselves in this industry. And I think that's a massive gap in the market now, and every country needs it. Is that helpful?
Yeah, very. Don't worry. I mean, it's very much true that I think, especially within the last few years, we've seen a lot of transformation towards the digital market, and it kind of has even become trending to be within the digital market. So that's great advice. Anyone else?
Just to share, like, about the question that you made, the favorite things about my industry. It's just not only what that like business that I work on. It's the industry of video games. My favorite thing by far, it's that I get to see stuff that I'm interested in every single day, and I get to share it with the world. I get to share it either on social media or in conventions or even internally in the office, and just present something that you are extremely passionate about is a blessing, in my opinion. And also, well, regarding something bad, it's like nothing really comes to my mind. It's a very modern industry, very up to date. So we have a lot of flexibility. We can work from whatever we want, basically. Maybe it's so huge and it's so important because, you know, video games make more money nowadays than movies and music combined. So we need more people and more people all the time in every single company. So at the beginning it was worse paid, like not like every single company worse paid than other industries. Nowadays it's improving because we need more people. But yeah, that's kind of my experience with what I really like of what I work.
Maybe I can add as well to the question what I love the most about my job. I'm not sure how many of the audience here have experience in working in a startup, but this is something that I can say that I definitely really enjoy this type of environment because especially at the beginning of building a company, you're still a very small team and you get exposure to all aspects of the company. You feel like you really are contributing to big decisions, and you can be exposed to different projects, and it's a very steep learning curve, but at the same time you learn a lot in a very short space of time. Definitely it's very there is a lot of variety and very dynamic, which is something that I really love about this type of job. And especially the industry, biotechnology and healthcare, similarly, it's a very booming field. There is a lot of funding going on into biotech ideas at the moment, so a lot of startups are popping out, especially in London and in Cambridge. The ecosystem, it keeps expanding and expanding, especially AI and machine learning in biological sciences and biotechnology is becoming more and more prevalent now, and I think data science is where a lot of the future will be in. So it's a very, very fascinating and very interesting field to be into.
Lovely, thank you so much. And then, Georgia, do you have anything to add, or should I?
I'm just looking at the comments. I see there is a comment which says how to show your passion for the position before getting the job, and I've been reflecting on that. I think it's a combination, showing passion for the position, passion for the company. So I think in the first place, looking at the companies and the industries and the areas, whatever you want to call them, that feel closer to your heart is the first step. Same as Louise said and provided the example of gaming. It can feel kind of mad, you know, at the beginning, like crazy idea to go after what really makes your heart beat faster. But at the end, everything can happen, and out of your daily life and out of your real interests and what you do on a daily basis, you can get and acquire some skills that can prove helpful in your future job. So don't underestimate anything that you're doing. everything that you're doing shapes your personality in a way, and your passions as well. So start with those companies and those positions, and then it will come gradually. I think it is a process. I don't think anybody gets it right from the beginning, but you should start with what speaks to yourself more, and then it will come naturally.
Perfect. Thank you. So then I guess that also brings us to maybe a final point before we can answer everybody's questions. What advice would you give your younger self then with the knowledge that and experience that you have now?
Okay, so I'll start then again. If you are starting from scratch, I would not apply and not start at a big company. I would go, as I think Deyana said, to a startup where you get to know how, you get to learn from even the founder. You get to learn, the mindset of like the mindset of the founder. You get to learn closely from, the best in the organizations. And I would just say, find, a boss. Don't find a job. As I think there's a saying, right, at the beginning, when you start your career, don't just find a job, find a boss who can, give you the mindset that you will be able to use in your future, your career, because that's going to be, it's not going to be like because you're not going to be paid a lot at the beginning. Therefore, to get the most value of your first job, find a good boss that will be willing to mentor you and help you grow as a human, as a professional, as a human as well. I think that's what I would definitely do. Dare to go and ask for help. Dare to say, I want to work with you and I want to shadow you and I want to do everything possible to help the company, and then learn alongside like with you and on the journey. That's the best thing that I could, that's what I would do. In any industry, there are always, people who have just founded a company 2-3 years ago. They're still not at like 50 or 100 people. They're still like 10 people. And that's when you can actually, if the person is, that the owner or like the managers there are willing to help, that's the place you would want to look at.
Great advice. Thank you. Deyana?
Yeah, maybe I can go next. And I completely agree with Fery. Cannot agree more. I think it's so important, especially at the beginning, to have good mentors, and to really have someone to guide you and to learn together, to help you also make those networks and connections, so that you can really have a great start for the career afterwards. And I think my advice to add as well would be, as I already said earlier, is to go out there and explore as much as you can, and just try different things. So because you never know when you might find something that really you feel so passionate and excited about. Even with my personal experience, even though I've been so long in academia doing research work, but it was only through exploring that I realized I actually don't want to continue doing this. I know I enjoy it, but I found something that I even feel even more passionate about, and it lights that spark inside me. And it was just through exploring. So I think if I knew this earlier, I would have started even earlier back then. So yeah, that's my advice to the audience.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Georgia?
I would agree with the others in that there's nothing worse than letting yourself be bored. So whatever you do, either in a company or before joining a company, keep investing in yourself, keep doing courses, or looking at TV commercials if that is your passion, or reading articles, reading the news. Just broaden your horizons, because this will help you for sure in the work that you will do in the future. So enjoy the ride, be patient, I would say, and trust the timing of your life. Everything happens at the right moment in the end.
Full-heartedly agree with that. And finally, but not least, Luis.
Yeah, I like, it's hard to add something else because all the panelists like said basically everything. That if I will have to give my advice to my younger self is don't be in a rush to get the job that you want. Don't be desperate, if you can say it like that. And of course, don't sell yourself short. Everyone needs to start something, but that doesn't mean that you have to be begging around for a job. You have to know your value. And believe it or not, the companies can see that you can see your value, and they will, in the same conditions, they will prioritize, at least in my opinion, a person that feels secure and that has like a lot of confidence for another one that seems desperate, even though they have the same knowledge. So believe in yourself, and as Georgia said, everything will happen at the right time. And yeah, just enjoy the ride.
Perfect, thank you. And we will now go to some questions and answers. So
can I add something, just the last
of course,
statement to this? So I think this is very important for people to understand that whenever you start out something and you want to discover what you're good at, don't just judge from the first 2 weeks of doing it, because most likely you will not like anything in the first 2 weeks because you're not going to be good at it. Give yourself a chance to become good to a certain point at something, and then decide whether you like it or not. If you don't give your chance, like if you don't give yourself this chance to become good first and then see if you like it, then you will most likely miss out on a lot of things that you could like when you become very good at it. Whenever you're good at something, you will walk on the street like this. You will be so, self-confident, and it will give you happiness, and you will love it when you're really good at it. And give yourself, a bit of a time to learn the thing that you want to try out first, and then decide whether this is for you or not.
Thank you so much for that advice. I definitely agree that a lot of people tend to only give themselves a little bit of time, and then they decide to give up because they think it's not for them. But perseverance and commitment is key sometimes. So just a little bit of an explanation. If you have a question, then you can do like Assad, so like raise your little hands and we will answer you. You can also put it in the chat and we will answer you as well. So Assad, why don't we start with you, and then I know that there's a message in the chat that we will get to as well.
Okay, thank you, and good evening, good afternoon, depends upon the region. I have some advice, maybe it will be helpful. I was doing PhD in one field, and then I moved to another PhD after 1 year. And I thought that it is my passion. I want to do a new field, to join a new field. But it happens like after 2 years that I came to know that I choose a wrong field. So before moving to other company, other job, I think the passion is not enough. You have to think that do you have the capabilities and capacity that you will achieve the goal in the specified time, because sometimes it took a lot of time and most of your time is wasted. You didn't achieve the goal and then you are unhappy that why I came to this field and I wasted 2 years. And the former one was good for me, although it was not my passion, but my capabilities and capacities were matching to that field. So I think sometimes you have to be a little bit optimized when you are selecting the field by balancing your capabilities and your passion. Sometimes then you can be in trouble when you go only for your passion. So this is what I learned from my experience. I spent 1 year in a PhD, which was a good field, and I can easily do with my capacities and capabilities. I have good research knowledge, technical knowledge in that area. But I left that PhD after 1 year because I got another position, which was good. I like that, but I don't have any technical backgrounds for that one, but I was passionate that I will learn something and I will do something innovative. Okay, let's go for that one. But then after 1 year, I realized in that PhD that was a bad choice because it didn't happen like that, which I planned. So this is my experience, which I would like to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asad. That was very insightful, and I agree there definitely has to be a balance when it comes to what you think you should do, but also follow your passions. I see Paula has her hand up. Just a second, we'll answer Teoswar first, because he asked in the chat a while ago if we can share how to land a job related to business or an internship, basically after a bachelor's degree. What steps do you think can he take, or what platforms should he use? I mean, we obviously know the main one, which is LinkedIn, but if you have any other advice, for example, of how to put your foot in the door, like Fery said, then please say so.
Does anyone want to go first, or?
No, go ahead.
Okay. As a data analyst, what I would do is I would go, let's say you want a job, and this can be applied to other countries as well. You want to get a job in the UK as a data analyst. What I would do is, for example, and I think this is available in other countries as well, you can go to the government website and find, so this is a business analyst, right? Business and data analyst. Go to the government website, watch a YouTube video, and look how you can scrape the UK bankruptcy database. There's millions of people and companies that are listed who went bankrupt, for what reason, what their name was, and so on. Download it in a spreadsheet and find out which areas of the UK are the most bankrupt areas as a relation to the population. That's a good, so do a case study first that you can use alongside your CV. So create like a research on an industry, for example, like with the bankruptcy, and you can even go further. You can find out the person who's interviewing you. Maybe his name is Dan, and then look it up in the list. Dan is the 4th most common name of people who went bankrupt last year. And then you send him an email. Hey, Dan, I found out that your name is the 4th most bankrupt name. By the way, this is my name. I've just done this research and I want to work at your company as a data analyst. Check out what I found. Guaranteed instant interview request if you do this, right? Just go the extra mile. If you're passionate about something, just try to find creative ways to stand out like exponentially. If you send the person an email saying your name, I've just done a massive research on your name, you are most likely to become bankrupt if you start a business. By the way, I want to apply at your company for this job. You will definitely get an interview with them. That's for the data analyst question there. That's what I would do.
Perfect. I mean, I would even agree, for example, with marketing, you can definitely take a company, see how you can improve their marketing strategies, have that alongside your CV as well. That's always a great way to also stand out and actually showcase what you can do. And this is especially useful if you don't have necessary experience within the industry. You can still show employers that you are able to do it. Paula, do you want to?
Sure. Hello. Nice to meet everybody, and it was nice of you to share your experiences, and I've learned a lot. I just want to know if your opinion is nowadays is a university title or university education necessary, like absolutely necessary, versus the many courses that are online. Because myself, as I'm in the same boat as Fery, and I never went to university, but I have pulled myself. Thank goodness I like to learn, so I have taught myself a lot. but I just wanted to know if it really is hindering to not go to university.
See, I don't want to always start first. I want to do. Does anyone else start first, or like?
Okay. All right. Well, Fery, why don't you start us off, and then maybe.
Okay, I'll start first. So, even though I might be biased, you know, like university is not like necessary, and I would say university is it's a big launch pad for your career. It's not needed specifically for many jobs. There are many jobs which you would not like. If you have an aspiration for a certain type of career, you will probably need a university, such as probably a certified solid. I'm not 100% knowledgeable in exactly where, but I know for a doctor, for example, you cannot just become a doctor without having, you know, the university, and there are many other industries like that as well. But you don't need for many of them, like for example, as a software developer, you don't need, nobody cares if you have a university. It will help. It will give you a big push. It will make you stand out, and it will help you think in a certain way. Otherwise, you will have to do it the hard way, which means maybe working until 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. every morning, like just doing coding. And those things you could learn in probably like better at university. So I think if people can do university, I would say do it and go to the university, make connections as well, but also try to learn as much as you can. I think it's a very valuable tool, and it should not be dismissed. However, if you cannot afford it, it doesn't mean all things are lost. Or if you cannot attend for any reasons, maybe we had employees who had like a child and they couldn't go to the university, or because of certain circumstances you cannot attend university. It doesn't mean you're going to be left out. You are still going to be just as valuable to the marketplace if you manage to learn to self-teach yourself. Nobody is gonna. We never look at, you know, at because of our specific roles in marketing, all we care about is how can you help us. That's the question that we ask. How can you help us? What experience have you got? What's your energy? What's your enthusiasm? What's your passion for this? And that's what we ask them. If we were a more, you know, specialized in certain niches, then of course, like especially for, like I said, bio startups, right? Biotech startups, like you will probably want to stand out with a great credential, with a great like university degree. So yeah, I think it's very useful, and it's even needed in some industries, but it's not the end of your world if you don't have it. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Are you hiring, by the way?
We are hiring like crazy now. We want to go to 100 people by the end of the year, so we still have 60 people to employ this year.
Excellent. Thank you.
Luis, I saw that you wanted to say something.
No, I was just going to agree with Fery. I don't think, like, most of the companies, if they are not hooked to the past, a university degree is not 100% at all. If you have the drive, like the drive that Fery obviously has, if you want to do courses and specialize directly in what you want to do, then there's very few companies that will reject a candidate just because they don't have a degree. So it is obviously important. It is important to make connections. It's important to make a foundation. If you don't have a drive, it will help you find that drive and find motivation and find a little bit more what you like. But in terms of CV, it's not 100%. It's not mandatory at all.
Thank you, Luis. And did you have to learn any new skills when transitioning to your dream job? Because you stated that you had studied business, right?
Mm-hmm,
and then
right.
Now you're working in the gaming industry. Did anything help you, or did you have to start from scratch, or was it just like a step up, or how did that work?
So I studied business indeed. And then when I wanted to transition to the video game industry, I started in social media and community management. And then to change the job from being a social media lead in my previous company in Newcastle, but in the same company, to be a communications manager, which I am now in the Barcelona studio. I studied a master's degree in communication and corporate communications, but it helped a lot. There was a lot of things that I already knew just because of working. So that's why I mean, like the university is not 100% needed. It was some like to specialize a little bit more and to have on paper maybe what I already knew. It was also a pandemic and I wanted to do something, other than being at home working. So yeah, that's it.
That makes sense. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So there's also a question in the chat from Nikita, who wants some advice about the fact that she's a recent law graduate and she's trying to enter within the job industry. Do you have some advice for her how to enter within these type of, not necessarily these type of industries, but how to basically start? Because I know it's very daunting. I mean, I was in that position as well of, I actually haven't even graduated yet because I'm doing my master's, but it's hard to know when to start, like where to start from, because you don't have the experience. So what would you suggest if you don't have the experience?
So if I can start, unless anyone else wants to start before me.
No, perfect, go for it.
So I think that would really depend on the field and the position, but just more generally speaking, and from my experience, I think again what helped me was to do, for example, extra side projects or be involved in some sort of projects in like extracurricular projects, or even try and do your own freelance things. For example, I was running my own blog during my PhD and doing a lot of science communication on Instagram or YouTube, which was just completely in my free time. But that showed to the employers that actually I have a passion for that field, and it can be quite relevant to marketing, where you need to explain science to lay audiences. So it was already, I was showing I have an interest in something and was showing some sort of skill for it and experience already there. An easy way would be to try and get an internship before a job, because in that way you learn and you gain experience before actually going into the job. But yeah, any sort of activity or projects that can be as a side hustle thing, for example, can be quite a nice way to actually gain that experience and go there to the employer and to the interview and actually show that you've done some of that stuff. And it can also show some drive and commitment that you go out of your way to try and explore and do these things.
Yeah, I think that's amazing advice, and that's what I would also suggest. Do as many internships as possible, because that also goes with the advice that Deyana gave us as well. Just try out different things. If you find out that you didn't like one specific type of workplace or one sector, then try out another one. So great advice all around. And unfortunately, we will have to start wrapping up, because we are taking away from our speakers' working time, which thankfully they managed to come and join us today. So I just wanted to thank all of them. I know Georgia just left us, but I'm really happy with how this turned out, and we really hope as well that you learned a lot of valuable lessons. This panel discussion is also part of a 2-week career event. We have a lot of different webinars and workshops, also live interviews. So if you are searching for a job, then we could also help in that department. And this 2-week event is sponsored by Teleperformance Greece, Seitel Portugal, Majorel, Fujitsu, Tech Data, and Amway Poland. So they'll have various different positions on our website right now. And you can see them all if you go on our website, which is europelanguagejobs.com. Redon, you have a question, just as a last one.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I hope you are all doing great. Please, I have one question. I've been working in a company in my country in Morocco, and as a content reviewer. And I want to progress in my career. Because I feel I have so many insufficiencies regarding some IT skills, especially when it comes to the back of Microsoft. And I want to know from you, is it how if you could give me an advice on how I can manage to learn the new skills, and what are the main skills that the market, the global market needs nowadays?
Did you mean in IT? Is that what you said?
Yes.
So
yes.
IT is a very broad. It's a very broad niche. So which area of IT would you feel more passionate about?
Well, I'm more interested about the Microsoft package. How to plan things,
Is it like
how to
.NET?
manage things. How to plan, for instance, planning, how to do how to manage things, how to organize things.
Okay, like IT systems implementations. Okay.
Yes, I need.
But I think
yes.
Yeah, the best way to learn is to start doing things. So probably get some stuff and set yourself goals, to implement things yourself, and then learn as you do it. And then the more experience you gain, the more confident you will be, to actually start finding an internship, as others have said it as well, and just learn on the job. I think just start doing something, and then you will figure it out later.
Okay, good. For the internship, how I can get them? I don't know how I should apply. What are the methods to get a good internship that will allow me to improve and enhance my skills?
I think initially you will need to do your own little. You will need a minimum skill set and a minimum set of understanding of the system. So this is where I would recommend start learning, and so that you can actually show people that you are passionate, that you have any value to add to them. And even if you have like a very minimal knowledge into something, and you can even create a video, a tutorial, say this is how I do it, put it on YouTube and send it to to people who are recruiting like juniors, and somebody will eventually get you, hopefully. Like, be relentless, and yeah, just do your little homework first, because I know it sounds like a bit funny, but you need to get some foundation in yourself first before you can say, oh, I'm going to go and get a job in this industry, because I've heard it's cool. Okay, do some homework, have a little foundation, not a lot, even just a little foundation, so that you can speak about something, and then go on LinkedIn and go on, and just be relentless in the way because you have to start doing things. That's the most important thing for you as a beginner. Start doing, leave the theory aside and start doing some real life stuff. And yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Redon, for this question, and Fery for answering it 100%. The main thing is know yourself, research a little bit more about what you want, what you don't want, find out what your passions are, try out different things, and be consistent and persevere. Don't take no as a discouragement from the path that you want to take, and try your best. So again, I would love to thank all of our speakers, and you can find them all on LinkedIn. They're also part of the LinkedIn event on our page, again, europelanguagejobs. So if you can't find them, you can easily find them through there. Joanne, thank you so much for your advice and your gratitude. And yeah, I hope this was useful for you. And if you have any questions, then you can message us or get in touch.
Awesome. Good luck, everyone. Good luck.
Thanks a lot for the invitation, and good luck.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.